Gender dysphoria is a debilitating illness that affects many transgender people, and they take physical action with hormones and surgeries to alter their body to match how they feel they are deep down. But maybe there's another way we can tackle this. So hello everyone, my name is Autumn Asphodel, and I am a coach to help you live your best life and find your true purpose. And you can schedule a free consultation over at autumasphodel.com/coaching. And today's topic is about how you can heal gender dysphoria without going through all of the hormones and surgeries. Maybe there's another way. Maybe there's another way that perhaps has been overlooked. Gender dysphoria is a debilitating condition that transgender people deal with on a daily basis. The only way of alleviating the condition is often through risky hormone replacement therapy and surgeries. However, while many may feel better, there are plenty that don't and often have a worse life after transitioning. So we'll be discussing some ways you can alleviate dysphoria without going through a transition. Whether you're not willing to take the risks of hormones and surgeries or physically unable to, this information will help you better understand dysphoria, the true cause of it, and what you can do that doesn't involve risky, irreversible medical procedures. To understand the ways of alleviating gender dysphoria, we must first analyze what causes it. Unfortunately, there is no known cause as it's still a mystery. However, there are a plethora of things that can cause one to feel uncomfortable in their bodies, such as hormone imbalance, trauma, and even partial intersex characteristics. Dysphoria is often related to body dysmorphia, where someone dislikes part of their body and proceeds to alter it medically as much as they can. In a sense, dysphoria is very similar to this, except medical professionals affirm the one with dysphoria and turn away those with dysmorphia. This makes it seem like altering your body, if you have a dysphoria, is an acceptable way of curing the condition, but it simply will not help everyone. Dysphoria is a horrible feeling for transgender people to go through. From my own experience, from my own life, as someone who is a male to female transgender individual, I was born as a male, but I've identified as a female. I didn't feel like a male, I felt more like a female. And the therapy that I had at the time wasn't really addressing any other issues besides the whole transgender thing. So that's when I needed to transition. I needed to alter my physical body with hormones and surgery to match how I truly felt. So there's been many benefits of doing that. I've been able to be much happier as a result of that. Sure, there are plenty of issues that I have had health-wise when it comes to surgery and hormones and things that perhaps I wish I did not do. But at the end of the day, that was the best decision that I could have made to help me overcome a lot of these problems. But I have to realize, what is the source? What is the source of some of my issues here? And I think when you really drill down to what the cause is, what the actual source of my gender dysphoria, then I think a very different action should have been taken to prevent me from transitioning to a female, to address the deep-rooted issues, so that I could be happier and more accepting of myself without the need to chemically and physically alter my body. Gender dysphoria is a symptom for many things such as hormone imbalance and trauma, but can be a natural and rare phenomenon that happens prior to birth due to a variety of factors. Whatever the cause is, it's important to understand why you are the way that you are. If you were born partially intersex or some other anomaly happened prior to or at the time of birth, then transitioning is very likely the best remedy for you. However, if you experience dysphoria due to a hormone imbalance, due to exposure to phyto and xenoestrogens, endocrine disrupting chemicals, or have been the victim of trauma, then transitioning will help only temporarily. This is due to the fact that the true cause of your condition wasn't addressed, and thus hormones and surgeries only masked the symptoms. In this case, medical transition is a suppressant. You suppress something about yourself and it will come out again eventually, and often much worse. If you instead were able to balance out your hormones, seek psychological help for your past trauma, and get to the root of why you feel the need to change your body, then you may be able to love the person you were born as instead of hating them. Hatred towards the past self is an incredibly common part of a transgender person's identity. They often hate their birth sex so much that they don't want to talk about it and get triggered hearing their birth name or when someone misgenders them. This is a sign of trauma that should be remedied before transitioning. Something happened in the past that caused this, and it could be so deep that it may take years to truly understand what happened. So what is the true way of healing gender dysphoria without transitioning? Find the cause of your dysphoria. If it's hormonal, seek medical help to understand why your hormones are out of balance and what you can do about it, in addition to avoiding phyto and xenoestrogens and endocrine disrupting chemicals. If it's caused by trauma, then it will often take many uncomfortable years of talking with a therapist to uncover what really happened in the past and allow you to heal. Once these things are done, then you'll be able to love yourself deeply and accept the things that you once disliked and not feel the need to alter who you are. Once you accept yourself in your entirety, nothing can stand in your way of greatness. Let me know how this works for you. Have a great day. It is interesting, isn't it, that gender dysphoria, when you experience that you are affirmed by healthcare providers, that they want to give you things to affirm your mental illness, essentially. And much like body dysmorphia, it's basically like the same, very similar type of concept there, except with body dysmorphia, if someone does not want their arm or their leg and they don't like that, a doctor's not going to affirm that and have them get an operation to remove that body part. That's just not how that's going to be. However, when you really look at society as a whole, there are so many people who are unhappy with the way that their body is. Perhaps they are overweight. Perhaps they don't like their facial structure or their nose, all this sort of stuff. So people have all of these surgeries to make themselves feel better. And sure, it can help maybe in the short term. And depending on how serious the surgery is, then there could be plenty of other complications along the way. But the fact remains is, for me personally, this is from my own experience, and maybe you can relate to this as well. There are many causes of gender dysphoria. The way that I like to look at it is someone who is intersex, for example, if they are born with, parts of both male and female, reproductive organs in some sort of capacity. But when they were very young, their parents decide, let's raise this child as a female. But perhaps that child was never meant to be a female. Perhaps it was meant to be a male. Well, what happens as that child grows up? They feel as though they are a male. So that is a very similar type of dysphoria that person will experience, that they have to transition to be a male because that is what they were meant to be. But they were denied that because perhaps their parents didn't tell them, perhaps it was kept hidden from them. That is a birth defect that happens, and it's very, very rare. But much like transgender, I think is a very similar type of concept where there is some sort of anomaly that occurs that makes one feel as though they are the opposite sex of what they were born as. However, there are many other causes. We can talk about hormone imbalances, especially from endocrine disrupting chemicals, estrogens, and all these other foods that we are eating and consuming, and pesticides, all this sort of stuff that can mess up our hormones and endocrine system. That is a very, very big thing right there. So if your hormones are out of balance, perhaps when you get those things in balance first, maybe then you won't feel some of this dysphoria. Or in addition, trauma. Trauma is another big one. And this is from my own experience here. Being abused and neglected as a male. Being told that I don't want a son, I want a daughter. And then having a sister that was born when I was very, very young made me very, very jealous at the time. It's like, my sister's getting all of my mother's attention. I want that attention. So what do you think that did to my mind? That made me think, in order for me to get attention from my mother, from other people, in order for me to be loved by other people, I have to be a female. That was never addressed when I went to therapy, before I transitioned, before I even went on hormones. That was never discussed and never addressed. And I really wish that it was. So that is my final words to you here, that you have to go to therapy and really talk about a lot of other stuff besides transition. You have to drill down to your trauma. What is causing you to feel these emotions? Why do you feel like that? I feel as though for me, if I got the proper treatment of being able to get to the root of my issues and not liking myself as a male, then perhaps it would have taken a lot of time, but I would have been happy as a male if I had addressed that trauma first. But it was not addressed. And unfortunately, the healthcare system just doesn't really address those sort of things. So please listen to my words here and realize that there are many other ways of going about this besides the conventional way of permanently altering your body in a way that many years down the line, you may feel as though you should not have done that and there's no way for you to reverse. So always keep that in your mind and go seek a proper help and address everything else first before you make any changes to your body. Be sure to check out the amazing merchandise over at Asphodel Shop for some inspiring designs. I'm sure you'll find something amazing. Also become a member. $5 up and above will get you early access to new content months before it is publicly available to anyone else. And I want to thank you all so very much for tuning into this video. Let me know what your thoughts are on this, and I'm curious to hear also, if you are a transgender person or you feel gender dysphoria, if you're going to take the necessary steps to be able to identify where those feelings come from and what you can do about it first before taking risky hormones, surgeries, or anything along those lines. So let me know what your thoughts are. You all take care, have a great one, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.